get started with this session, I will quickly introduce my speakers of today. I hope you all know what the session is about. We're talking about youth in volunteering. How do we go about engaging young people with volunteering? So my first speaker for today is Abhishek Thakore. And Abhishek is a serial social entrepreneur, ecosystem weaver, and facilitator. Over the last 2 decades, he's launched and anchored a diverse set of social initiatives working around youth, active citizenship, meta crisis, and leadership. Some of these include the Community Connect Fellowship, South Asian Youth Conference, Wisdom Tree, and Bodhi Sangha. He has supported over 50 NGOs, mine being one of that, in deepening their impact and capacity building. So welcome, Abhishek. Please come. Cannot wait to hear from you. My second speaker for today is Abhishek again. It's Abhishek Chaturvedi, a PhD holder, Chief Coordinator of the Volunteer Service Organization, a social wing at MAHE, Manipal, leading volunteer engagement, outreach activities, and social impact initiatives. With over 12 years of involvement, he has spearheaded projects in education, health, social welfare, and while fostering student leadership and professional development. I don't think we could have a better person to talk about young people than when you're actually working with a university. He oversees volunteer recruitment, training, event planning, partnerships with NGOs and government agencies. Abhishek, I welcome you. Please come join us. All right, so I'll quickly tell you about myself also, probably. That's a good introduction. So I'm Nivi. I've worked with volunteers for over 10 years right now. I worked with Make a Difference, and currently I run a consultancy that enables nonprofits with their impact and scaling initiatives, right? So on that note, we'll get started. The biggest question I think we've all had, I want to call back to what Venkat mentioned today, which is every Indian volunteering. And I genuinely believe if you want to get to every Indian volunteering, you need to inculcate it as a spirit of volunteering. It needs to be imbibed, and it goes very deep down into who you are as a person. And the best way to start it is probably when you are really, really young. I myself was a chemical engineer a lifetime ago who got experienced with volunteering, and I shifted my field completely into the social sector. So we'll start with that question today. My first question to both of you would be, why do you feel it's important to engage youth in volunteering today?
This is actually the question, it's like a rhetorical question. You should not have any answer for that. Because it's open question. I'll talk in respect to academic volunteering, which happens in the university setup, and why we should engage students when they come in academia, in whether it is undergraduation or post-graduation. So when they come in undergraduation, they are 17, 18. They have youthful energy, lot of creativity, enthusiasm. They can win the world if you give them an opportunity. And if we do not channelize that energy in a rightful direction, it can have a lot of impact, which will not quote it negative or positive, impact in a not so good manner. But important thing, if we provide them a platform and show them a way that how their creativity, enthusiasm, and energy can bring a change in the society. That's from their perspective. In the beginning, telling them only this might not fetch the volunteerism, or so we show them other things. We have to show full plethora of things, or we have to show them that there are many other options. Like you can have a belonging, you have a community, and you will also be known by your teachers. You will also be known by university officials, and it might help you during your recruitment process, your job process. That's one aspect to it. Another aspect of it, you will be trained, you will be learning a lot of skills on the job. You will also be professionally trained on project planning, public speaking, leadership, communication, and so many things which you will be utilizing for your corporate jobs. So, and We also talk about appreciation. We talk about the volunteering hours. I always start this, have you ever done volunteering? Few of them, they raise their hand. And what did you get at the end of it? Some, I think one will say happiness. Other will say fruity or a biscuit packet. So what if we account this volunteering of your journey of volunteering? And then they like this idea that in their course, they can have this journey accounted, and that journey can be given to them in a form of a report card or in a certificate, and which can be seen by recruiters as well that the person has invested so many hours. So why we have to engage? Very importantly, to use their energy, enthusiasm, and whatever, if we channelize their energy in a positive way, it will really have a better impact. Yeah.
Thank you. I think in addition to what Abhishek said, I think there's a positive side. I think there's also almost a healing side of volunteering that we talk about. You know, if I'd be a doctor and a young person comes to me and says, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling hopeless about life, I find no meaning, society is getting worse and more polarized and more unequal, and climate change is happening, and all this is happening to me together. What do I do? Mujhe koi dawa de do. And if I'd be an allopathic doctor, I'd write several medicines. But if I'd be an Ayurvedic doctor, I would write one medicine, right? Like, which I was thinking is the vitamin V, right? V is for volunteering. आप volunteering जाके कर लीजिए, right? क्योंकि आपकी सभी all your problems have a common solution, which is volunteering. And I think one of the things that we're learning is, one is to link volunteering to the incentives. I also feel human beings get very motivated by wanting to relieve their pain. And I would say young people are in different kinds of pain today. They may not be public about it, but there's a lot of pain. I think volunteering as an antidote to that is kind of one level. I think organizationally, of course, there's a case in terms of it building leadership, CSR, responsibility of the orgs. But at the core for the org layer is channelizing intrinsic motivation. I think organizations are always trying to figure out how to channelize intrinsic motivation. Because there's a limit to how much money you can throw to talent. More and more talent is not chasing money, right? And the same talent that chases money will move tomorrow when there's somebody who's paying higher. So corporates are asking, how do I channel intrinsic motivation? And volunteering is a sacred act of intrinsic motivation manifested, right? Like so volunteering starts giving us a pulse of what really moves people beyond these external incentives. So there's a personal case, there is an organizational case. I think for me, the most important is the systemic case. You know, I feel the system is manufacturing the demand for volunteering. And by the system, I mean the larger crisis that we are facing, the multifaceted crisis. I think this generation doesn't even have a choice. I think for this generation, they will have to show up and respond to the challenges that we collectively have managed to create. And whenever there is fever, there is an immune system. So I think the planet has fever. It's literally also has fever. Its climate's going up and down. I think the immune system response is volunteering. I think naturally there will be people, and with this generation, coming generations, it's very obvious that we have to do something about it, right? So I think the response to the systemic issue is also that. The only caveat I want to give is that if we become a copy of the same system we are trying to heal, we'll not really respond. So we say the system is very extractive, right? It's extracting constantly profits and so on. So if my volunteering model is extractive, which is again, I'm extracting labor from students and deploying, I'm still a copy of the same system. So I have to disrupt it to, inculcate seva bhav and so on. So and there are various facets to it, but I think it's an important caveat. If young people are volunteering only to replicate the existing system, then they're not really solving a systemic crisis. They're just propagating the system. So I'll be happy to illustrate that later, but I think broadly that's a very important caveat I want to give.
I absolutely resonate with that, because when I'm thinking about volunteering, I think especially when it comes to the social impact sector, there's a very active question of can volunteers create impact? And I think that's something that a lot of people do question and do think about from the angle of do we always need somebody to be full-time, dedicated to a particular task to make sure you're reaching impact? And The one example that comes to my mind, which I'm sure any NGO here would have faced, is that there are certain programs you'll have, especially if it's education-based, it's easy to get funding, right? And there are certain programs where it's not that easy to get funded, even though you know that's probably your backbone program. And one such program that comes to my mind while we were working with young children in schools and to make sure that they're able to succeed and clear their academic progress is we used to take them on a 3-day residential camp. And that used to give them a sense, a dream of the future. And it used to make them want to go and study and clear exams because they want to be able to get out, go to live in a fancy hotel in their lives at some point of time in their life or not. And what we saw was a huge increase in motivation after we would take them to this 3-day camp, right? And as with any NGO, most NGOs, we struggle with funding for this particular program. And then we realized that, okay, we're probably not going to get funded, but we do know the importance of this program. So we reached out to a volunteering team. It's a 3,500 strong volunteering team with layered volunteering, where you have 350 people who manage the different cities. So they are our volunteer managers who are also volunteers, who are doing it part-time, right? And within a period of 3 months, we were able to raise 2 crores. Like 2 crores within a period of 3 months, right? And that was our first zero-cost camps, as we called it. So I genuinely believe that there's so much that we can do with volunteering, and volunteers can play such a huge role in impact if given the right opportunities and also the right support systems and structures. Today, we'll kind of deep dive into the structure at Manipal, which is more academically oriented, and how they've gone about building the volunteering structure. And then we'll deep dive into Abhishek's work, which dives into multiple different organizations he's worked with and built volunteering structures that are more on how do you build capacity of volunteers. So we're going to do both of that. I'll hand it over to you to talk to us a little about the opportunities that Manipal presents.
So Manipal volunteer structure is actually is a full organization chart, you can say. They start, we go to each of the institution. We have a set of faculty coordinators in each of the institution. We have 21 institutions in one umbrella in Manipal Academy of Higher Education at Manipal. So we have faculty coordinators in big institutions. And whenever the students have orientation, we orient them. We have a slot for VSO, and we talk to them what we do, how it can help you, and how you can join. And we have a college coordinator as well, so immediate contact for them. So whenever a student joins, they join as a volunteer. And the whole system, what we have is online and digital system, so they can register, they can be a volunteer. And we have around 14 different causes per week and 10 different big yearly events which we have. So they can go based on whichever theme they associate with or whatever time suits them better, because there's a lot of academic pressure, exams and everything. So they start joining for a particular cause. After some time, when they start liking it, and they start seeing that, okay, I can do this change or that particular change or improve this or see this impact. So they are already in the uplift, one level up of leader. So that's the place where we call them project coordinator. Okay, so they can apply for a project coordinator because someone else would be leading. And as we have from different colleges, because of the timing, one will be leading. So they can be one of the project coordinator. We have our same recruitment process, why you want to, and all those interviews, everything. So once they become a project coordinator of a particular project, they are associating themselves with that particular cause. After a certain time, so they have a full opportunity, or you can say full openness about whatever change you want to bring, whatever newness you want to bring, or effective or impactful you want to bring. So it's totally free for them in whatever leadership perspective they want to bring in. After they become a project coordinator and in the organization for 6 to 1 year, they have already known about the organization, how it functions. And if they want to go to the more leadership role, leading the volunteers and more of, helping them come into this way and aligning the university's social responsibility with volunteers' enthusiasm. So they can take up a little bit above role, which is a core team. We have a core team in which there is media, logistics, you can say HR, operations, everything what you talk about in a corporate setup. And they have whatever HR does in a corporate, they do their recruitment of volunteering, seeing them whether they are coming or not. If they are not coming for 3 times, how a mail has to go to them. So operations take care of all the operations, logistics, whatever is available or not. So they are a part of a core team. And once they are part of core team and they learn about the organization and they want to lead this 5,000 plus students, there is on the top of student body is student ambassador. So student ambassador is the head of all the students, there's 5,000 students. So this is the model what we have. And we have, right now I'm chairing the chief coordinator. So I head this organization and I directly report to Vice Chancellor. So along with that, there are all faculty coordinators from each of the institution. Now, this organization is not only in Manipal, it is in Mangalore, Bangalore, and Jamshedpur. So I coordinate with them as well as a faculty coordinator and their activities as well. So we have a volunteer who is like Campus Connect volunteer. He is helping them because they are still in the newness, they are still in infancy. So we are helping them grow. And I always tell them that there is no, in volunteering, in community activities, is nothing like repeating. Because the community is different, the stakeholders are different, and there is a lot of debt what we have from the society which we have to give. So there is no problem in whatever we are doing, you repeat it because you are learning. And they have all these institutions, they are growing and they have taken it very well. So this is the structure what we have in generally opportunity. They all.
Just to add on, could you also talk to us a little about how you engage with the community? I know you work with multiple NGOs, and I think that would be useful for any NGO to also understand how they can engage with you.
Okay, so this is one such platform where we meet that NGOs are looking for either volunteers or they are looking for research perspective. In the research perspective, that how volunteering is helping in mental health, decreasing the anxiety, emotional intelligence, empathy. So they can have a structured way they can do that. So that is one way. Second thing, there are many causes NGOs are working on. So they also can get associated with what cause we are working on and similar kind of thing. And first, very important thing, we are always open for any collaboration because, as I said, we have 5,000 plus volunteers, and in a week, we can only probably give opportunity to 350 to 400. So we are always in lookout for any opportunity you have, anything you want to bring in, which will help them learn or opportunity to volunteer. We are open for any sort of collaboration. Along with that, we have yearly once conference, which is called Youth in Social Change, where this conference is about, we have a model of life cycle of a volunteer, that how they join as a volunteer, they become a project coordinator, ambassador, and after that, what next? Because in their course journey, they have gone through all of these stages. But will it end here? So we don't want it to end here. So in this conference, we bring all corporate leaders who are CSR leaders, all the NGOs, provide them internship opportunities with these NGOs, corporate leaders who are talking about the skills which they need or they are looking for. They have all the skills in these volunteers. So we show them that there is a way beyond your your course. There is a different social sector as well. So that's how we connect with all these CSR or NGO and internship opportunities and collaborative work together.
Thank you for sharing, Abhishek. I know for sure that volunteers coming out of Manipal, if they join the NGO sector, they're already going to be skilled volunteers. They're going to have so much context, so many different skills of working in various different opportunities that you've provided to them. We'll deep dive a little into the opportunities in some time, but I would love to explore with Abhishek. We did speak about what are the opportunities you present to the youth, but I would like to understand a little bit more on your overall philosophy towards youth in volunteering. I know that you look at youth not just from an organizational perspective, that, for this organization, this is what needs to happen with the youth. But you've looked at youth from their life cycle of volunteering and would love to understand more about that.
Sure, I think the deeper philosophy with which we engage is as important as, I feel, what manifests. think one big piece of our philosophy is to not instrumentalize young people, right? Not use them saying, hey, you're young and energetic, go do this, but really nourish them, nurture them. Right? I think there's a case to be made for nurturing young people, not just instrumentalizing them. I think also, as a deeper philosophy, we feel like in our experience, it has been that young people want fun, learning, and social change. They need a combination. Only one doesn't cut it, right? And across generations, I've seen how earlier social change, the sequence could be social change, learning, fun, but I think we're increasingly seeing fun, learning, social change as the order, the hierarchy of what people want. So I think philosophically engaging young people, one is I really appreciate that you're engaging people where they are and in ways that they want to engage. I think for us, the philosophy is also meeting them where they are, and particularly in a city like Mumbai, time becomes premium. So we say if you have 30 seconds, see a poster, 3 minutes, watch a video, 30 minutes, play a game we've made, 3 hours, we have an actathon, a 3-day workshop we have a 3-week community connect challenge, we have a 3-month fellowship. So I think philosophically meeting people where they are rather than pulling them to where we want them to be. I think that's really an important philosophical aspect. I think I also tend towards this whole idea of service, right? Seva bhav that we say. That one is initially when people come in, they come in with a lot of extrinsic incentives, but slowly we've seen some people really tap into a deeper spirit of service, right? Saying service needs to happen through me. And that philosophically is important because I feel the volunteering movement is going to throw up the next generation of social leaders. Like the freedom movement brought forth leaders. I think volunteering movement, for me, people like Shalab and Doc and so many other leaders are people I admire, and they're all products or they're all coming out from the volunteering movement. So I think philosophically, what connects people to go beyond just their transactional engagement, and slowly how do we kind of graduate them, to a longer kind of scale. And yeah, I think since this has flashed, I'll cover it. I was going to capture it in the next one. But at Blue Ribbon, so this is not just Blue Ribbon, right? This is the whole volunteering ecosystem. We see this as the cycle. And this is a language. So this is not meant to be a hierarchy where one is better than the other, but really language to talk about volunteering. So we say L0 is somebody who's uninitiated and majority is uninitiated. Like I think Venkat said 90% plus people don't volunteer. So there's a large population of uninitiated ones. At L1, we say when you do your first act of volunteering, you've reached L1, right? And there are organizations inspiring people to do their first act. Now, we don't want people to drop away there to sustain them. And that's where we draw them into slightly longer term engagement. That's where fellowships come in. That's where a longer term program come in. So L2, we say are repeat volunteers, engaged in causes. They're kind of going beyond. At some stage, we've seen this commitment starts translating into a lifelong commitment. And not a lifelong commitment to be a social worker, but to say, wherever I go, I'll care for the society. So for us, a marker of L3 is this person is now social for life, right? We've kind of got them to really be there for life. We're seeing at some stage, people start realizing that only my cause or only my organization will not be able to respond to what's being experienced as the crisis, right? And that's when they start connecting across. And that's what we call L4. We say these are ecosystem weavers. They're not just thinking organizationally, they're thinking sectorally, they're connecting across. They speak languages of various sectors. And finally, we use L5 to say that there are certain leaders who are iconic. They set the conversation, they are role models, and so on. So philosophically for us, how do we make this journey possible? And it's not a short journey, it's a much longer journey, it's a 15, 20-year journey. But how can organizations kind of connect and make that? And I think lastly, volunteering comes from an energetic surplus, is how we see it, right? You have to have spare energy to go and volunteer, right? And for that, it's important that young people have that surplus, right? And young people are grappling with a lot of issues, right? With personal issues, parental issues, career issues. So how do we nourish them in a way that there is a surplus that goes further into the society, right? So if volunteering is only going to deplete young people further, if it's going to lead to fights with parents, it's going to lead to lack of time, bad grades, then you're really not doing it, right? The impact is not happening. So how do I do volunteering? So we say PRL, right? Parents, relationship, livelihood. We're like these 3 things you need to sort out so that you have more surplus energy, more discretionary time. So I think philosophically, and we've been able to do this. So in Blue Ribbon, we have volunteers who continue to volunteer way beyond our fellowships. And that has happened because we've been able to help them solve their personal their personal challenges, their personal issues. So I think philosophically, since we're saying 2030 and sustainable, volunteering, if 90% of our volunteers are going to drop out at L1, how's that sustainable, right? So I think philosophically, how do you run the marathon, not just the sprints? And if you want people to run the marathon, you have to equip them with the nourishment to run the marathon. So I think philosophically, how do we create those conditions? Because the society needs more and more such leaders. So I think these are some philosophical kind of founding principles.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Abhishek. And I really resonate with your point of ecosystem weavers. And I feel platforms like this is the first step to making everybody ecosystem players. And genuine, when you were talking, a genuine heartfelt request I suddenly had for the entire audience over here is that can we do that in the next 2 days, not just talk about our organizations, but beyond that, talk about the talent we have in our organizations. How can we exchange talent between our organizations? How can we exchange our capacity building for our volunteer programs and everything else? I think everybody here is very open to sharing knowledge, and I do believe that's something
Just
we should
one
do.
philosophical piece
Please.
which I missed, which I really want to add, I think we believe that one hired person, if 5 volunteers do the work of one hired person, is that equal? We say, no, that's not equal. Because the worldview and the paradigm of hiring is entirely different from the worldview and paradigm of volunteering. Right? Hiring is a monetized system. You're monetizing time, you're monetizing labor, you're monetizing motivation. The volunteering system is an entirely different system of values and motivation, right? And I do feel the world today is overly monetized. Like we're continuously monetizing things. And I think volunteering goes counter that discourse, right? It goes against what the system is pushing us to do or has gone into an overdrive. So I think for me, the impact of 5 people moving out of just a purely monetary transactional mind, not to say that people who are employed are only monetary and transactional, but just I think that the heart of what I'm saying is that the space from where that engagement happens is a part of the impact, because you moved 5 people to channel intrinsic motivation and think beyond. So I think philosophically, there's a much deeper case for volunteering.
Absolutely with you. I think everything is so metricized today to just let it flow and to allow people to just, imbibe that spirit is so very important. I would love to understand that in today's world, and I know sometimes, they say it's very different how volunteering is depending on the generation, like how millennials volunteer, how Gen Z volunteers, etc., etc. But I feel like at the end, we're all human beings, and there are certain motivators we all have, intrinsic and extrinsic, that do work for all of us. Would love to hear both of you talk about what do you feel are the motivators that get volunteers to come on regularly. I know you have an amazing participation rate. I literally heard that in 2 minutes you get everything filled up whenever you put out activities and events. Would love to start with you and hear from Abhishek.
I think I can share what we're seeing, right? So we're seeing a preoccupation with the self, right? And I'm qualifying that we work in a very select kind of select slice of the society. So I'm going to talk about the kind of, so to speak, middle layer of the society from a class angle. We are seeing a preoccupation with self, given questions like, hey, how am I going to get employed? Or how am I feeling about the world? Am I feeling hopeless? And so on. So several such kind of things. So we've seen learning definitely inspires people, right? And self-discovery is a very innate human need. I want to know who I am. I want to know my limits. I want to know my potential. So I think one of the biggest motivators we've seen is the whole learning, self-reflection, and self-understanding piece. And Blue Ribbon and the other work we do has kind of a slight lens on volunteering, which is kind of a service learning lens, right? Saying that, hey, we're going to foreground your learning so that this is valuable to you. So one is we're seeing a lot of motivation coming from people saying, hey, this is solving my life's problem. And in volunteers who go to L3 level, we're seeing that something has clicked for them. They're like, hey, we understand the game now. We understand that engaging in the society is one of the best ways to grow myself and impact the society. And we're really trying to understand what creates that switch. How does somebody suddenly get it and say, hey, this is the game. This is what we have to do as citizens of the world. This is what we all need to do. So I think there is some kind of a switch that happens where you suddenly become like a agent in the army of the Lord kind of a moment, right? Saying, hey, this is what we need to do as team humanity. So I think uh, that switch which moves from just self-preoccupation to saying that I want to engage with the society. So I think that's a motivation. I think there are also some basic motivations, and hanging out with cool people, meeting people from the other gender. There is looking cool, fun, great social media posts, and signaling that I'm doing it. And these are totally legit and valid. Yeah. I think invalidating those motivations is almost violence. Mm-hmm. Like you can't invalidate and say your motivations are wrong or misplaced. Those are all also valid motivations. So I would say that's kind of roughly the range of motivations. We have seen people get really inspired by the long-term marathoners, like the sprinters when they see the marathoners and they're like, wow, how is this person like this? And like, oh, they've been marathoning for 10 years. They've been, they've been doing things for a long term. And that's how it slowly adds up. I think that's really been our thing. Work with MAD or work with Blue Ribbon. I think particularly L2, L3 volunteers, I think for them, this whole aspect of self and learning becomes important. Early stages, the fun and the quick dopamine hit and all is a great motivator. Community is a great motivator and so on. So yeah, I think it's that kind of a combination. But I think by the time you reach L4, L5, you don't need motivators. I think you're like you are the motivator for others, right? You're like kind of pretty much L3 onwards. In fact, you're driven. So you're like, it doesn't matter whatever happens, I'm on it and I'm going to continue doing this. So you become a source of motivation then.
Thank you for sharing that.
It's like those questions where you have told everything, I don't have anything to tell. So as I told in the beginning that there are different motivators in our academic setup, whether it is, as Abhishek rightly mentioned about, I will start with the easy one, the low-hanging fruits is like going out and feeling cool about it. And a feeling of a community because we have a volunteer services organization, a t-shirt. You will see in MAHE everywhere, some or other VSO student. So they have a curiosity that, who are these people? We see them in every function, every event, every conference, every community thing. Who are these? And I want to be one among them. So the curiosity of unknown or being a part of that community which is being recognized, everyone says, oh, VSO volunteers did a very good job. They're like, I want to be that volunteer, the curiosity first. Second thing about my friend is also going, let us go together. Like one example of beach cleaning drive. Sunday morning, 6 o'clock, we will provide your transport to go to the beach. We'll provide everything. Who doesn't want that? You go, and along with that fun which is near the beach, you are also helping. You feel some photographs along with it. You feel that I have contributed a little bit. But these are the low-hanging for them to start with. The other thing, when you go a little bit up, when they realize that this can help me come out of my anxiety or social isolation, or we say, don't be in a reel, be real. So come out of that, strolling and just scrolling for hours together. They feel that I have done something good, because at the end of the day, they're like, I have not done anything today. So doing this, they feel a sense of some purpose. Again, this is again the first level. And as they move towards, they continue doing that, and then they interact with community, they interact with kids, they feel that joy of giving and joy of sharing with society. The smiles, the way, the affection, you will not believe when these kids, when they go to the community, all kids come together and they hug them. And we are hearing from other courses as well that you have done something in the society, that when we say that we are from MAHE, or there's some kind of affection they have, and they are open up. We want to ask them nutrition requirement, what do you do, there any prevalence or any study we want to do, data we want demographic data. They are very open because you have built that rapport with them. Mm. So students feel that connectedness with the society, with the kids, and they feel that purpose. And they are already, when they start talking about it, when they start seeing the twinkle in their eyes, we know that the person is in the movement from initial to the change agent. Then comes the next level. These guys, it is a dopamine of getting that feeling or joy, and they want to recreate that and keep getting that joy, that dopamine, that reward. And when we ask them to reflect on their learning, they realize that there's a lot of skills they have learned in this process, which is actually required for the real, so-called real world in their job perspective. And then we bring our alumni, those who were here, and how this has impacted them and contributed in their professional and personal growth, and they are still lifelong volunteers. And how this journey has impacted or positively impacted them. And that makes a lot of difference that, okay, I am in this journey, and I can relate to the person who has actually, okay, he was a TFI fellow, or he, because of this many hours, he got a scholarship in US, or because of this many hours, he got a Hungarian scholarship, because he was working in a community. So that kind of belonging and the purpose, now purpose is very clear, that I am a change person, I'm a change agent, I'm drawing energy, I'm drawing joy in the society. And actually it is helping me professionally also, because that was my primary purpose to come in the academia. So actually it is, I'm checking all the boxes. And that is something what we want to create. And these are the people who will actually bring more people along. And just you experience it once. And as I said in the beginning, that we tell them many different things. Along with that, one of the thing is, you will get hours, you will get certificates. And like a medical student who is preparing for USMLE, who has a lot of weightage when they have done some community work. If they have done 100 hours, it adds a lot of value to them. Along with that, in the academic setup, you have an opportunity of some scholarly outcome of this community work. If you do a little structured way, you can present a paper. Imagine a person from an engineering background is presenting a paper in the social or public health conference. It adds a lot of value in their CVs. So they want to have those kind of things in the beginning. So we are absolutely okay in whatever purpose they come with in the organization, because we are very sure. Because if they will be there in this organization for 3 years, they do not want that at the end of the day, because they are a change agent and they are drawing the joy in sharing, in giving to the community. So that's what we have.
Please.
Just to build, I think, what VSO or Blue Ribbon or other organizations are really able to do. There's a spectrum between being overwhelmed because I'm so sensitive about the society's issues, and being numb because I can't deal with the overwhelm.
Right.
So being overwhelmed, again, paralyzes me. Being numb makes me a nihilist, saying, doesn't matter, let's destroy the world as soon as possible. Or there are variants. And I think what VSO or BRM or other orgs are able to do is to bring people into the safety of a sweet spot, where I am sensitive, but I'm not so sensitive that it paralyzes me. So I'm functional, but then I'm also not numb, saying, ke sera sera, jo bhi ho so ho, kind of a thing. So I think the motivation is most sustained when we are able to create safety for people to find their own sweet spot, I think. So that's kind of one, and I think that's the function of us as organizations. How do we lead people into that nice sweet spot for themselves? I think the other that we tend to overlook is the whole aspect of ideology as motivation. I think ideologies motivate people in a way that I think we've not tapped into that. And perhaps because we are focused on, say, the incentive layer or the self layer, but I think large numbers of people in faith-based organizations and political organizations are really motivated by the ideology, by the vision for the world. And I think, how do we tap into that, into those narratives, into kind of almost the ideological depth, that richness that is there in our country? I think, so moving from a very techno-managerial way of looking at volunteering to a more deeper ideological way, I think those roots will allow sustained volunteering to happen. And we have examples all around our society, right, of faith-based organizations or large-scale movements. So I think that's a source that is waiting to be tapped. I think that's how I would put it.
Thank you for adding that, Abhishek. Between both of you, I feel there are so many opportunities that have been covered, so many motivators that have been covered for volunteers. And I love the last part where you spoke about the whole piece of, it's almost like you give a structure, but you also give a lot of autonomy to volunteers. And I think that balance between both is what enables a volunteer to feel that sense of freedom, that sense of ownership, but at the same time, they also have good guidance. And I think that's the core key to making all of this happen. I do know we've not covered many more activities, say of VSO. When I heard about Manipal, I went to their website and I just checked VSO's website, and you'll see every week they have like a huge range of activities. And I've been in volunteering for 10 years, and some of these activities I've never shared or created as opportunities for my volunteers. And I got a lot of inspiration from that. And whenever you do get to talk to Abhishek, get to know more about the opportunities they provide to volunteers. And with Abhishek, I have worked with him for 10 years, 11 years. We started working together in 2014. And he used to build beautiful capacity building organizations for workshops for our organization. And I know I have personally benefited from it. I feel like the inner work and the journey that we have gotten through made me sustain in the volunteering field for a lot longer than I would have. I think the idea was I'll volunteer for 5 years, go to the Gulf, mint money, because that's where my parents were from, and I was still very new to India. But after these sessions, it just shifted my perspective completely and made me realize that this is a way of life, and like there are so many people, amazing people I've gotten to meet through this, my close friends. Many of you are sitting in the audience also. And yeah, so I think it's really beautiful that we've gotten this opportunity to do that. And I think only volunteering has created that path. I'll open for questions from the audience, considering the time that we have. And yeah, you can all, of course, reach out to all of us. We're all here for the next 2 days. But yes, let's open out. Yes, go for it. While they're writing questions, you can.
While you're writing questions. So thanks for the beautiful endorsement, Nivi. I think engaging volunteers and long-term sustained volunteering is pretty much an art and a science. And I think we are now past the era of doing it approximately. I think mid-2010s was when we started working with MAHE and also with TFI and also with Gandhi Fellows. And we work as Wisdom Tree, where we enable volunteering. We bring in the thought behind design, bring in thought behind building capacity, particularly not only of volunteers, but like the MLM system that was spoken about. So people who are coordinating volunteers and their coordinators, there's so much burnout, there is so much heartbreak, and we really need to nourish and intentionally build capacity. We don't think volunteering automatically happens. I think the largest volunteering organizations in the world are actually training and capacity building organizations at the heart of it. So they're able to do that really well, and that's how they're able to have volunteering on scale. So I think just want to bring that there is a value, and that's how a Nivi who 10 years later is moderating happens, right? And we need more and more of those. So I think just that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Do we have questions? Yes, a lot of questions. All right.
Which Abhishek they are asking for?
I'm guessing there'll be MAHE and there'll be that. Okay. So what are the main causes that MAHE works in terms of volunteering is something they would like to know.
So first, education, the broad umbrella is education, health, and climate. These are the broad umbrella. Because we are a teaching organization and we have a hospital associated with it, so these are the two more, you can say SDG 3 is the main which we most focus on. But education is 3 and 4 both. We have a lot of communities around, so no hunger, or we talk about even beaches there, so life below water, life on land. So these are the main SDGs we work on. But along with that, we have a health awareness. Again, the broader, I'll just go deeper into it, more of health awareness related, or I did not speak about it because there was time limit. Something we do academic service learning. So associating their profession to a volunteering. So for example, if we talk about speech and hearing, one student from allied health, or we say health professional speech and hearing, they can help checking the prevalence of any speech-related disorder or hearing-related problem in the community. And it's their skill they are using, along with their time they are giving. So when they give their time to the community, they feel some little joy, along with their skill is being honed. So, and department is also happy that there's something department activity is happening. So in a university setup, we have to, check all that kind of thing as well, that, okay, department is doing some activity there, profession-related activity is happening. So that is very important. So that kind of activity, every profession-related activities we do. So health, education, and environment is the broad area, and you can talk anything about it, we do that. So these are the broad areas.
Thank you for sharing that,
So, question
Abhishek.
for me?
Yes, this question was for you. I'll ask Abhishek. I think I'll just club these two questions. They're very beautiful. One is, does the whole social sector image become a constraint for attracting volunteers? And another is, CEOs are talking about 70-hour and more work weeks. Extending working hours. Do you think there'll be a shortage of volunteers moving forward? I really want to know that answer.
I feel increasingly the social sector is going to be the place to be and to work. Not only work, but to engage with, right? Because I feel with the explosion of the issues that people are personally facing, there's a moral obligation of saying, how could I not be doing anything? And with younger generations, we are seeing a combination of anger and despair, and we have to do something to channelize that space. And the social sector is the best space to actually channelize it. So to me, quite to the contrary, in fact, and I'm a deep believer in that kind of optimism, saying, hey, that's the place where we have to go to really build the world we want to build. And I think very attractive value proposition. So I feel it's only going to increase, and I feel we're at just the start of a large wave of discretionary energy being invested for the society to make this world better, and with the understanding that existing ways haven't really fully worked, right? And so I think I'm a believer in that. And for the second question, I think we have to go one level deeper. Where is that coming from? Where is the invitation to work for 70 hours and 80 hours coming from? And I feel in every society there is a bunch of people who love working for 70, 80 hours, and full power to them, but they're only a small percentage. There's a much larger percentage, and that increasing percentage that is choosing balance, that is choosing contribution, that's choosing giving something to the society as an integrated part of their lives. So I think just as you'll have a bunch of 70, 80-hour working people, I feel you'll have a large bunch of people saying, hey, what's the meaning of my life? What's purpose? And this question is becoming, people are asking these questions earlier and earlier, right? And when questions of meaning and purpose come in, you have to go beyond thinking for yourself to think for the society. So I think, in fact, to the contrary, we're going to see an explosion of more and more people coming to the sector, coming to volunteering, in search for meaning, in search for purpose, in response to the anger against or despair of what is happening. So yeah, I am very, very bullish on this whole idea. And yeah, every Indian volunteering, I feel like we're on our way, I think, and well on our way.
I definitely share that spirit. I feel that we do have many more people, especially because they're starting younger and they have an exposure towards a purpose-led life. I do believe that they do want to cover that with volunteering also. And I do believe maybe they'll continue that all throughout their life.
That, and also basic needs are getting increasingly met, and I think there will be a realization that material needs beyond a point are not going to meet the deeper needs. You do need some material comforts, but I think there's going to be a dawning realization about the emptiness of consumption, both materially and of information. I think that realization is already happening in the society, saying these are not pathways to a balanced and more meaningful life. So I think we don't need to do much. In fact, I think the larger forces are in our favor. And yeah, I think I say, I was in the climate change movement since much, much earlier, as a school student in my 90s. And all the time for decades, humanity has been saying climate change, nobody is listening. And now climate change itself is the best advertisement for climate activism, because now people are like, oh God, this is really happening, and it's moving people in unprecedented numbers. So I think that's what's going to happen, right? These issues are going to drive people.
For sure. Thank you so much. We do have many more questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite everyone who's put the questions to connect with both the Abhisheks during lunch, because we'll open out for lunch right now. But before that, I think we had a quiz that we wanted for everybody. All right. Okay, let's do that. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I think we're done. With that, we come to the end of the session. Please connect with both the Abhisheks when you do meet them for lunch. And yeah, please give them a round of applause. Thank you. Yes, You can see the feedback on the screen. Could you all take a minute and just put out the feedback?
As Nivetika was mentioning, we have to open up, and I'm just using this platform to start it. We are open for all collaboration, for you to facilitate or help our volunteers to learn, as well as any volunteering opportunity, whether it is online or offline, skill-based, we are open for. So please reach out here or through mail. I'll share my details whenever we are interacting. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. This is for you. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah. I don't think there are two more open people on this planet, right? Like, I've connected with Abhishek Chaturvedi very recently, and I've worked with Abhishek Thakore for a long, long period of time. And honestly, conversations with them are just phenomenal. Just go meet them anytime and converse with them. Right. Feedback is done? Yes. Oh, I need to ask for more feedback, okay? Yes, could we all have your inputs? It'll be really great because we'll be able to moderate a lot more sessions that are specific to all of your needs. So it'll be great to hear from all of you.